So he came back the next year. There's a new owner, a new head coach. Honestly, I needed another year to get my body back.
You do. You're exactly right.
And one of the things is, good or bad, when you're playing in the NFL, you're not afforded that type of time.
No, I know. Yeah.
So I'm right back into the fold. I'm moving around from left guard to right tackle. The new head coach and I are weirdly just juxtaposed in everything. Like we didn't mesh. Like he didn't like me. I didn't like him. Every time I talked to him, he was sort of giving me some attitude, some idea about what he thought was right or what I should be doing. Of course, as it would happen, week 1 of that season, we're playing the Minnesota Vikings, and I'm starting at left guard, and I get a guy thrown into my left ankle, and I get a low, high ankle sprain. And the team doctor is telling me it's a 2 to 3 week recovery. I get a second opinion with my agent. That guy's saying, you're lucky you don't need surgery. This is a 6 to 8 week recovery. They're telling me I'm milking the injury, so I'm back in 2 weeks, 3 weeks. We're going against the Cincinnati Bengals. I'm starting at left guard, playing against an all-pro D tackle, Geno Atkins, and he just fucking destroyed me. Because I couldn't push off. I couldn't move to the right.
No foundation. You can't fire a cannon from a canoe, buddy.
Exactly right. And so I get benched at halftime, and they say, Eb, you need some more time to recover. We got to get you back full strength. I say, okay. After the game, he tells the media that my spot's up for grabs.
Oh, God.
So I'm like, okay, motherfucker. I see you. I get it. It's like halfway through the season, we're going into the bye week, and we get the big spiel, like we're gonna keep doing things the same. We're gonna keep working the way we've been working, and we're all looking at each other like, dude, we're 1-7. But he's like, some of you guys who have been starting, we're gonna start shaking up the lineup because some of you are the problem. So I was one of the guys. I ended up getting benched, and this is my contract year. It's my 4th year in the Jags. And it just completely crushed me. That year was a disaster for everybody. Head coach is fired. Everybody's fired. I'm a free agent. And at that point, after 4 seasons in the NFL, I came into my NFL career thinking I'm going to be here for 10 years. That's what a lot of guys, offensive linemen in particular, it's like 10 years is the gold standard. You get 10 years, that's a Warriors legacy you leave, After 4 years, I was so just run ragged, exhausted, over it, heartbroken, soul crushed. My confidence had just been totally wiped out. And confidence is everything.
Yeah.
As an athlete, even more so as an offensive lineman. If you're coming to the line with any doubt in your heart, you're fucked.
You're in trouble.
You're in trouble. So I made some phone calls. I talked to one of my teammates, Brad Meester. He was a 14-year veteran, played center for the Jags. I said to him, Brad, I think I'm fucking done, man. I don't think I can do this anymore. And he said to me, Eb, I think that every year. And he's like, I just come back 1 year at a time, take it one day at a time, and I find something that I love about this game. Find something that I love that I can hang my hat on. And it's just one day at a time. And then next thing I know, I've gotten through another season. He's like, give it a shot somewhere else. Maybe you sign on somewhere else. You find your love for the game again. And if not, great. You know that your time in football's over. And so I really took that advice. I had a couple workouts. I flew out to Seattle. The Seahawks worked me out. They weren't ready to sign me. I flew back to Jacksonville. Just about the next day, I flew to Chicago, and the Bears were working me out. Went in for a workout. They wanted to sign me right away. And honestly, I'm getting the call from my agent. They're walking me up to the front office where I'm going to sign a contract for 1 season with the Bears. And I'm in tears. Because I'm just like, can I do this?
Yeah.
Do I have this?
Yeah.
I was ready to be done, and now here's a team that wants me. And their GM, I forget his name now, he's an incredible GM. He said to me, Eb, we've been a fan of you since you came out of college. And I know last season was not you because you were dealing with these injuries. Like, we really think you could bring a lot of value to this team if you want it. I said, yeah. I mean, at that time, I fucking needed the money, honestly.
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, well, let's just do what Brad said and give it one day at a time. And that season, so it was my 5th year in the NFL, first year in Chicago, I really found my love for football again. I locked up a position as like the swing tackle, so the 6th man. It wasn't a starting spot, but it gave me this opportunity to be highly involved with the team. Not to mention I carved out a nice role for myself as this monster tight end. So I'd come in 25 to 30 plays a game. And I just got to give it everything I had for 25, 30 plays without the stress of being a starter and having to prepare like a starter.
Mm-hmm.
And I can mentor the young guys. They drafted 2 rookies who ended up starting on that offensive line. And it was just this really magical year. The Chicago Tribune wrote this whole article about me at the end of the season, how the offense was 25% more productive when I was in the game than when I was out of it. And it felt like last game of the season, we're playing Green Bay, the right tackle goes down and I step in and I played, 3.5 quarters of the last game and just dominated at right tackle and really felt the joy of football again.
Yeah.
And then came back for a 6th year, and it was like all the magic had dispersed. That season, I got cut after the last preseason game, which was the first time I'd ever been cut, which was another heartbreaking experience because I had a tendency of falling into this thing of this is my family.
Mm-hmm.
These football teams are my family. I'd die on the field for these guys.
Yeah.
Week 1, I'm in my apartment in Chicago watching the game. 3 linemen, 3 starters go down with injuries, and the GM's calling me by the first half saying, Eb, where are you? We got to get you back here.
Yeah.
And I'm laughing my ass off. Like, yeah, you do.
Yeah.
So I end up signing back with the Bears. I mean, this is sort of, I can't tell the football story without telling all the little details because then it just doesn't give the full picture.
Well, I think most people probably have no idea what really goes on inside these things. I've been a consultant to so many professional teams and have had to, stand up for the players because when I have a guy like you and they're trying to rush them back, I'm like, you got a choice here. You got a few games out of this guy or you got a career out of this guy. What do you want? And I hate to say it, but every time they say, I don't give a shit about the guy's career. I want to win this next game.
Exactly.
And I'm like, you realize that, some of these injuries could be permanent damage. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm talking about a leg that's paralyzed and doesn't work and shit like that. And they don't give a shit. And I've had some very heated arguments with general managers and team medical doctors. And
God bless you, man.
I got to the point where I just stopped having any interest in working for professional sports teams because I just got so tired of the bullshit.
Yeah, absolutely. So, bye week is my last season in Chicago, 6th year, last season in football. Bye week, flying back to LA with my family. My high school's retiring my jersey. After the ceremony, I'm doubled over in pain. Like throwing up, feel like I have to shit, can't shit. It's like knifing sensation just above my right hip in my gut. My entire family, literally my entire family, is there, and I can't get out of bed.
Those are symptoms of spinal cord compression.
Well, so finally, it's the day we're supposed to leave to fly back to Chicago, and I look at my wife and I say, I don't think I can get on the plane. Like, something's wrong here. So we go to the emergency room, checking me out, listening to what I have to say. They take me right to a CT scan, or it wasn't an MRI. It was something quick.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, you have a ruptured appendix. You need an immediate emergency appendectomy right now.
Yeah, you can get those same symptoms from a L5S1
Interesting.
disc injury, or if the vertebra shifts and pinches the spinal cord, it can give those symptoms as well.
That makes sense. I lose about 25, 30 pounds and call up the team, tell them everything that happened. Finally, I get back after a week in the hospital, and they say, Eb, just work on getting your body back. I couldn't even really work out at the time because they wanted to make sure this bacteria was out of my blood.
Yeah.
Part of the story that I've talked about elsewhere, which is in a documentary called Take Your Pills on Netflix about Adderall.
Oh, yeah.
Was, during my back injury, I started taking Adderall because it would lift me up out of this haze that I was in. So I went through this whole process of getting a therapeutic use exemption for Adderall. The reason I bring that up is I come back and I'm out of my Adderall prescription. And God forbid I would sit through a meeting, sober at that stage. And I come back from the appendix, start working out. Slowly but surely, I'm worked back into practicing again. There's maybe 4 games left of the season. And I was sitting there in films, and I'm watching the film, and I'm thinking to myself, I'm in pain from the top of my head to my toes.
Mm-hmm.
I'm popping pills just to sit here in this meeting. I'm watching myself on film block this D end, and I'm thinking to myself, I used to want to kill that guy, and I got no rage left in me whatsoever.
Yeah.
I said, what am I doing here?
Mm-hmm.
There's 1,000 places I'd rather be than be here right now. And I've been thinking this is glorious. Meanwhile, this coach back here, God bless him, but if I walked out of here today, he'd just find a younger guy to plug into my spot.
Mm-hmm.
Like no thing at all. What the fuck am I doing here?
Mm-hmm.
And in that moment, I knew I was done.
Yeah, good. It was time.
It was time. So at the end of the season, I get this letter from the NFL saying I'd failed a drug test and I was going to serve a 4-game suspension going into the next season. And so that was really this moment of the universe telling me, Eb, it's okay to be done.
Yeah.
It's okay, man. Because I had this idea in my head. I'm a fucking warrior, dude.
Mm-hmm.
I will die on the football field before I quit or I stop playing.
Mm-hmm.
And finally I was there at the light at the end of the tunnel, and it was like God, the universe, spirit going, Eb, it's done, dude. It's all good. We can be done now.
Mm-hmm.
We've done everything we could do in this game.
Mm-hmm.
So I got the call from my agent. He said, yeah, Chicago's not going to sign you back. I said, okay, that makes sense. So we decided, I said, you know what, I'm going to move my family back to LA. We bought a house and let's set up headquarters. We'll see what happens. I don't know what's next.
Yeah.